Hey, what's up? It's Kit. Time for another video. Today, kind of something unique. This is a 400 gram spy, Deepliner spy. And we're gonna rig it with barbless hooks. I believe this is the first time I'm rigging one of these on video with barbless hooks. So this is 400 gram. We're rigging it with 4.0. Okay, now as far as the sizing is concerned, you can see that with a 4.0 sticks out quite a bit from the middle. That's what we're looking for. For the line, we're using what's left over of Marine Stealth Blue from Fish Fighters. Okay, now the hooks, this is the Gamakatru Kamaitachi barbless. First thing we're gonna do is actually take off the core, and what we're gonna do also is put a core on both ends. Okay, there's no particular reason for this. There's just that a lot of people have transitioned into having both ends with a core. So I'm gonna head and rig this for a while with that in mind. So we're going to take a length for the head. Okay. Yeah. And then we're gonna put a core on this and then core on the other end. Now to core it, quite simple. Just pull the sleeves down, take the core inside. Now for Fish Fighters Marine Stealth Blue, it is also a core of PE, and it's kind of thick. So keep in mind that when you actually replace the core with mono, and in this case it's 50 pounds that we're using, okay, so I don't have to cut, there's one here. So if we're replacing it with mono, what happens is that it actually kind of elongates, and it will be thinner. It will be thinner. Okay, it will be thinner than originally. I'm gonna show you a comparison. It will be thinner than what it was. Okay, so this is with mono, and this is the usual. So you can see there's a variance in thickness. Also, if you actually look at this, it got longer. So when we cut it, it was shorter than this. Okay, which is fine. So just take note of those. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, this channel talks about the hows and whys of fishing. We cover everything from big game, ultralight, everything in the middle, including fly fishing. And today we're adding to our jig rigging library, and we are doing barbless hooks for this jig right here, which is a 400 gram spy from Deepliner. Okay, so you can see that if we actually see, it turns because this part is the heavy bit, and we are going to put our hooks on this flat bit right here. Our thread is 0.04 fishing braid. A lot of people have been asking me, and I've been repeating that so many times, It's fishing braid. I use fishing braid. So this is from one of my ultralight rods, or ultralight combos, reels actually. And when the time came for me to strip it and replace, all I had to do was take it off, put it in the spool, this spool right here, and that was that. So instead of throwing it away, has like a life after its fishing career as binding thread. Okay, so I've laid down a base of thread. Basically what that does is it's to help keep the line from slipping. Very, very important. I kind of messed up my super glue. So my super glue got messed up yesterday, and I'm gonna use whatever's left over, and I'm just gonna put it in my my spreader here. Just a little bit of glue. I don't think it has a lot left, but I don't want to spend waste, not spend but waste. So if in case you squeezed out an excess, just take a tissue and press it, and it's good to go. Okay, so we have our mono core here. Just make sure that the mono is all the way to the end. Press it down like so, and then position like so. Okay, make sure it's centered. I know that this is. Okay, you're gonna have to get your hands a little bit dirty sometimes. Let's zoom in so you see exactly what's happening. So make sure to cover the wraps, make it as clean as possible. You don't want to do a sloppy job. Again, if you want to cover this up with shrink tube, go ahead and do that if you want. I am an advocate of actually just making or doing a clean job and leaving it as is so that you don't have extra drag. Okay, that's looking good. I think I'll do one more pass. So, okay. There we go. The super glue that I put on there is actually enough to like most of the time we actually spread it on the side here, but you could see that we had a lot there, and you don't need a lot more. However, we're still gonna be coating this with super glue later, just to make sure that it is protected. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is actually just make sure that we have enough length. And yeah, we do. Now for this, what I'm going to do is actually have a gap in the middle. I'm not gonna make the back too long. Okay, while we're at this, might as well get some solid rings. Two solid rings, and then two split rings. There you go. You'll see them both later. It's just that they're kind of out of the way, and I wanted to just take them so that they're ready. Okay. Challenging bit here when you're tying this second hook is that there's another hook that's attached. And that's gonna hurt you. As you can see, I'm actually putting gaps. Just space for the glue to enter. Okay, not usually how I do things, but you have no choice because of the broken bottle. Ah. Okay, there we go. Now let's see if I can actually put some. Okay, there we go. So I could still do it. I thought I couldn't because of the tip. Okay, from there, let's take some tape. Okay. There we go. Now we can okay. Now we're squeezing this, and we're covering the glue. And one more pass, and then after that we're going to close it up. But by doing this, everything gets fused. You've seen me do this a dozen times, so just for the new guys, this is how you actually tie assist hooks without stoppers, like knots. I mean, before I showed how you do it with stoppers. Actually, we're gonna start doing those again, just so we have videos that show both, or a few techniques of doing this. But this is the cleanest. Okay, this is the cleanest way, absolute cleanest way of doing things. Okay, there we go. Now spread the glue. Okay, so let's tie this like I'm tying it for immediate use. Okay, because what I want to do is, after this, I'm just gonna put it in a plastic bag and store it, and it's done. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out. Okay, and we are going to put some glue to basically cover the whole thing. Super glue is good because it doesn't add any weight, or it doesn't add much to the weight. That's why it's kind of the preferred glue to make assist hooks with. Okay, so that, and then switch over to the other side, do this, and then you can set it aside. The advantage of setting it aside is, of course, the glue soaks into between the tie-in points, and it keeps everything, or it makes everything absorb, like the thread, the core, you know, it gets penetrated and they fuse into one single unit together with the shank. So preferably you set this aside, but since we don't have the luxury of waiting, I'm gonna zap this. Okay, now spraying it with accelerant gives it like this weird white stuff. Okay, see, looks dirty. All you have to do is just kind of wipe them off, and you'll see that there we go. Looks pretty clean. Okay, so same with this. Sometimes it doesn't do that. Sometimes it gets really bad, it's all white. But all you have to do is just do that. Now, if you want this shinier, what you could do is actually paint it with nail polish, and it'll become really shiny, but that's just cosmetic. It doesn't really do anything. Okay, now solid ring. So you have two choices. It's either you put the solid ring in like that, and then rig it PR like so, or an even more secure way is to loop it, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. Okay, so we're gonna loop it. Because of the stiffness, it becomes kind of unwieldy. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna loop just like that. Okay, ear, take the ear like that, and then with your pull tool, you tighten. Okay, like so. Okay, pull as hard as you can and tighten that knot. Now once that's tightened, what you can do is take your bobbin, okay, remember tighten, and then do a PR to keep that knot compressed. This is the front hook. Okay, okay, now that you have that, you could actually do your half hitches, or in my case it would be a whip, like so. So the tightness, when I tightened it, it actually cut itself, which is good. Okay, now again you're gonna have to glue that. I usually leave this step when I have like a lot of them. Okay, again, it's either we leave this or we just spray it with accelerant. Leaving it so that it penetrates is better than spraying accelerant on it. But if we wait for it, it's gonna take forever. So here we go. Most of the time what I do is just set this aside. Okay, so there's your top hook. Kinda doesn't behave. What we do is position everything like so. Okay, the position that you want, and then we take an ordinary lighter, and see, this is okay, this is not. So what we do is we position the one that's misbehaving this side, okay, so that when we hit it with the light like so, it's closer. Now before it cools down, stretch it. And you'll find that it's easier to have it behave just like that. Okay, There we go. Sometimes it takes more than once, but you'll get there. Okay, there we go. Now it's behaving the way you want it. This is the top hook. Here we go. It kind of looks small than it should. A lot of people would probably put like a 5 or a 6 on this, to tell you honestly. But as you can see, okay, it's way more than enough. Now, what we want is to see exactly where the other set of hooks would end up. So I'm gonna put a gap on this, so the hooks would be around here. Okay. As with the first one, what we will do is take the core off of this. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's harder to slide the sleeve down. But as soon as you see something exposed there, what you could do is either take a pair of pliers. I use my teeth. But you could definitely do it with a pair of pliers. Take that and then just pull. Sometimes it's just faster with my teeth, that's all. Okay, and then we go ahead and take the mono and then just insert it in the sleeve until it goes through the other side and cut the excess. Now I'm gonna cut this long so that you could actually see. Okay, so alright, so this, okay, take note that this is not compressed yet. So this is still the size of the PE insert. Now, if you take the end, pinch it, and push, all to, see, the end disappeared. Because as I mentioned, it actually compresses. If you look here, you'll see that this is the compressed part, and this is the uncompressed part, and the uncompressed part is actually pretty big still. So when we do that, it's gonna be very difficult to take the ends. Okay, so you could see the end here, then you push it, get stuck. The end is there. Okay, so now let's see if we can. So basically, the end, the length that we put in, you could see that there was a lot sticking out here and a lot sticking out here. What happened was that it was just enough. So it didn't extend. Okay, this didn't magically just get longer. What it was that it was compressed. It wasn't compressed, and now it's compressed. So when I cut this, actually, I cut it shorter than I wanted, and now I'm gonna have to cut it even shorter. Okay. I cut it shorter than I wanted, and now it's the length that I want it to be, length I need it to be. Okay, there we go. Now what you can do is cut a little bit so that it's a tad shorter than the insert is a tad shorter than the braid, and then you can push the braid in so that both ends would have a section where there's no mono. And what that does is make you tie this whole thing a little bit cleaner. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a base here. Okay, so I'm putting glue on top and on the sides. Spiral in. Okay, that way when you do that, it keeps the line in position. There you go. So now let's put a bit more glue on the sides, like so, here as well. Okay, now we bind, and again I'd like to remind you that my bobbin has a drag on its own. So when I wind, it's very, very tight. Okay. Now just spreading the glue. Okay, let us just put the final coat on this so that we don't have to do it later. Okay, that looks good. Okay, clean it up. Okay, now I'm gonna show you exactly how it looks like if you actually put clear gloss. You could put black, okay, but let me show you exactly how it looks like when it's clear. Put clear gloss. Now if you put clear gloss on this, or even black nail polish, it basically looks kind of the same, yeah? It's just one has color showing the wraps, and this is purely cosmetic. I mean, at the end of the day, you could put neon colors here or whatnot, but that's how it looks like. Okay, that's basically how it looks like. Just showing you guys. Okay, that's basically how it looks like when you put nail polish there. Alright, so we have finished this and it has dried up. I will zoom you guys in so you can see there's practically no difference. Okay, it's shiny and all that. And you know, if we compare it with the other one that we made earlier, you can see that there's hardly any difference there. Now if you put a black one, it will look cleaner. Okay, because the black stuff is going to cover a lot of the white stuff that the accelerator actually created. But if you just leave this in a place where there's no air movement, you're gonna have something that's just really clean. Okay, it's just that, again, like right now we don't have the luxury of the time to put all of this together, so you know, we did that. But technically, if you are not in a hurry, you are able to produce something that's actually very clean. And you just set it aside again to a place where there's no air movement, and everything will be clear. There's none of those white stuff. Actually, what creates the white stuff is moisture. So even if you put it in a place where you know it's kind of out of the way, but if the air around has a high moisture content, there's still gonna be that white stuff. Okay, so that's how cyanolite actually dries up. It reacts to the moisture. Now we put a little bit of that. Position it in the middle. We do our spirals so that it is positioned. The little bit of glue that's there, because we just put like a little bit, actually keeps it in place. There we go. Okay, now before we proceed, what we do, we could put the glue, or we could tape. Taping it is a safety precaution. Some people don't do this. You could tape it, you know, the hook point first, or you could just tape it like this so it doesn't move. Now you're able to work without getting stabbed. Okay, so a little bit of glue on the sides, not the top, on the sides, because again, I've explained this quite a few times. When you're wrapping, okay, it pushes the glue between the shank of the hook, okay, which is here. This is the shank of the hook on the bottom, and then the braid material. So you're sandwiching and you're putting the glue in between them. And every time you wrap, the liquid, the glue, gets carried and pushed by the braid and basically encapsulating everything. There's going to be a bit of excess, and that bit of excess that you have, you spread around on the outside to coat everything and fill the gaps that you've missed. Okay, that's more than enough. Then you do your locking, half hitch or whatever knot you prefer. Okay, I kind of messed this up. So the knot did not go through the sides right there, where it should have. Now we could tighten it. Okay, there we go. That's it. You have to pay attention because sometimes your last one would be crooked. When you tighten, it tightens, but it's actually outside. Okay, so there we go. Now we spread and coat it. Okay, I will show you here. So coat. You can see how shiny it is there. That means that it is coated. Okay, so again, you have a choice of actually leaving this to the side where there's no air movement, and it will dry up really clean. But for the sake of expedience, for this video, I use accelerants. But when I do a production run, let's say I'm making 15 of these, 20 of these at the same time, I will tie these up, glue them all together, okay, tie them all up completely, and then do a glue up all at the same time. And every time I finish a section, I just hang it up. By the time I'm finished with the batch, I'm ready to actually glue the ones in the section with the solid rings, because I glue those up at a different time, actually after everything is finished. Okay, now taking the tape off, be very careful. I've had so much accidents with these, and not funny. Alright, so we just take that off. Take this bit off. Okay, now last step. So this is one of the rare times when I actually put a an insert on the back hook. I know that for me, I always say that this is kind of useless at the back, but there are some people that like it, so I'm just making this video as an example to them, just in case you want to do something like this. Tighten it as much as we can right here. Okay. Then Knock that up, and then we do our PR. Now for something like this that's kind of long, this is all really the reason why I made my own right here, because this thing is a bit longer and it helps you do this a bit better. The other one's just too small. Now if you are interested in making your own, I have a video in the channel. Just have a look. Okay, so tighten this as much as you can, and then do your PR towards the knot, and what happens is that it actually cinches that down before you go back. Okay, and then you put your finger to where you want it to end and wrap back. Okay, you guide the bobbin with your finger, and you could go back and forth a few times to do this. Now a lot of people are asking what the purpose of this is, and a lot of people that do this will actually say, well, it's just a style. So yeah, it's definitely a style of doing things, but it actually helps with a few things. So like, take for example, this is actually kind of long, and by binding I'm actually making, in effect, I'm actually making a section of this into a single point assembly. I don't know how else to actually say it, but it makes this section act like a single unit and helps making these two more controlled. Because if you just say double knot it here, what happens is that these two strands, they become kind of longer. So if we're tying it like this, we're binding it so that the length, the effective length of this whole thing is actually shorter. And it helps getting these two hooks to snag. Because, see, if you shorten this, when this actually moves, this follows. Whereas if it's long here, what happens is if one actually moves, this doesn't follow. But because this, see that? See? See? If I move this, the other moves. So it helps at aiming the hooks. Very important. And you heard it here first. That's the purpose of that. See? When it's here, when it moves, see it how the other hook moves? Whereas with this one, okay, when it moves, it doesn't move. It moves way after. Whereas with this, as it moves, this one moves as well. So imagine if this actually hooks something, okay, and the fish moves, and just because of the angle of this will actually go around and look for something to grab onto. And you'll see that when you're doing this, after a while you'll see that, hey, okay, that the, you know, stuff like this, this configuration, especially for bottom dwelling fish, you'll see that all four hooks are connected if you have four hooks. So that's the purpose of that. It just basically helps the hook find the target faster. Righty. So look at that. Look how white that turned. Okay, now we just clean it up. Okay, see? Now all clean. And that is it. So all that's left now is to rig this guy. We have big rings, as Wael likes them. This is his jig. Put two together here. Back hook first. So there we go, right there. Okay, there we go. So there's a bit of a gap there, as you can see, and it's just enough so that these guys actually don't tangle. But there we go. As you can see, barbless hooks on a 400-gram Deepliner spy. Okay, Kamaitachi 4.0. Alright, so if you have questions, drop them in the comment section. If you haven't yet and you want to learn more, click on that subscribe button. If you want your friends, your fishing group to know, to learn with you. And as I said, fishing is a group activity. It's more fun if you know, you have your friends with you. Now here's a piece of advice. If you know something, you teach your fishing friends. Everybody does their own thing. They don't bother you while you're fishing. Everybody knows what they're doing. Okay? Now if you want that scenario, like take for example for me, my fishing group, I don't have to, like, you know, they don't ask me. They already know what they're doing. Alright, because at the end of the day, when we get together and we talk, everybody learns because there's a huge exchange of information. And you say like, yeah, I do this and that, you know, I found that this is better and that, and they know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, if you want your group dynamic to change and have everyone know exactly what they're doing, share this video, share this channel. Okay, yeah, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Class dismissed.